things rolling. So, hey, welcome to our Thursday evening, the day before tax day. Actually, you're going to get a little reprieve for tax day. I guess they pushed it off till Monday since it's the, since the 15th falls on Saturday, right? So you get a little reprieve. So I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to pay taxes, but I guess it's better than, well, I won't go down that road. Anyway, hey, my name is Chuck Hansen. will be your co-host along with my buddy, Michael Stern. And, to start things off, let me just make a couple of announcements. I've got some good news and some bad news, right? So let me give you the good news first. The good news is that Michael and I are both here, and we're going to share some incredible information with you. The bad news is that Rick Cotton, our CEO, has got horrible bronchitis, and so he's sick in bed. And Eric has been burning the candle at both ends. But I told him, hey, he's a youngster, so he should be able to do that. But he got sick too. So Eric's not here. The staff call today was like a ghost town. It only lasted about 5 minutes, and then we were done, right? So we all told a couple of jokes, and then we were out of there. John is down in Florida, along with several other people, provisioning hotspots and provisioning more hotspots and provisioning more hotspots. So that's the good news, is that we've got lots of hotspots and they're getting provisioned and they're going out the door. And what I want to do here this evening is go through a couple of things. We talked about on the training last night, something that we were going to talk about next Tuesday, because we didn't really think that we'd have the opportunity to do it anytime prior to that. And it seems like we do, right, tonight. So we're going to do that tonight. We're going to talk about some variations. We're going to talk about version 1. We're going to talk about version 2. We're going to talk about the plan to get everybody 1,000. Who wants 1,000 helium? I see the hands of anybody jumping up and down. Okay, yeah, I see hands. Okay, yeah, so we're going to show you how to get 1,000 helium. Now, is it going to be easy? No. Can it be done? Absolutely. Will a lot of people do it? I think that they will. Will everybody do it? No. It's just how it is. I mean, a lot of people wish they could get 1,000 helium, but it's consistent, persistent effort, right? That's one of the main components of doing anything, is just being consistent and being persistent. But before we get on with that, I wanted to have Michael share some good news. As many times as we talk about the good news that's coming up here very shortly next month, inevitably, the people that some people just don't hear it, right? Or if they hear it, they don't believe it. So they have to be told time and time and time again. So Michael, if you wouldn't mind sharing that one more time, and I'll probably have you do it again and then again and again, several times before it actually happens. So would you mind doing that?
Yeah, I'm happy to, Chuck. Essentially, what we're talking about is the discussion about going to light miners. And I know we've talked about it on several calls, and but just like you're saying, Chuck, I've got people reaching out, they're asking about how to unrelay hotspots, how to, know whether the units are syncing or not syncing. And as everybody are getting hotspots, they're asking these questions, but we just want to give people an understanding of what's coming and what we've been really waiting a considerable amount of time time for to happen. And just so that everybody has some background, and I apologize if I'm being redundant if you've heard this already, but the bottom line is that there's like 725,000 hotspots that are out there around the world that are online. And every single one of those hotspots is doing all kinds of activity 24 hours a day. And every bit of that activity and every one of those hotspots is all on the Helium blockchain. And that entire blockchain, when you get a unit, a hotspot, and you hook it up, it needs to be synced to the Helium blockchain, and that entire blockchain gets downloaded into that tiny little hotspot. That's a lot of information, and that information is growing exponentially on a daily basis. And so as a result of all that, it's created issues in the Helium blockchain where it kind of causes congestion because there's so much activity constantly on every one of these units that's downloading all that information. And the outcome of that is it takes, in some cases, considerable time to syncing your hotspots to getting caught up with the blockchain in real time. And that's going to be affected by your internet connection, whether you're connected using an Ethernet cable or whether you're using Wi-Fi. And then also the ability to deal with what's called relayed hotspots. People hook up their hotspot, they go look at the Helium Explorer, and they see that their unit is relayed. They click on it and it says, oh, this could affect how much helium you're earning. They panic on that and say, well, how do I deal with this? And it's technically complicated to unrelay a hotspot. It has to do with opening up ports in a router where I'd say 99% of the people have no clue what that means. I had to figure it out to do it for myself. We've had people, along the time assisting us to do that. And for the first year, nobody knew whether their hotspots were even relayed or not. But now it shows it. So people go, oh my God, what do I need to do that? Well, all those are issues that we've been contending with over the last 8 months or so that we've been putting hotspots out into the world with IHub and trying to train people on dealing with these various issues. But the good news is come early May, sometime early May, or beginning with the earliest May 3rd, they're going to flip a switch, and instead of every unit having to download all that blockchain data every second, every day, it's going to be residing in the cloud in what they call the validators that have been up there, and they've been working with those and making sure everything's working great. And when they do that, no longer would that data have to be downloaded to the blockchain, so that as soon as somebody gets their hotspot, it syncs instantly to those validators and is able to start generating helium. And it doesn't have to worry about relays. There's no more relay possibilities. The speed's going to be there, so there's no congestion. There's no lost witnesses because they weren't able to go through the communication cycle quick enough before it timed out. It's just a really good thing, and it really is preparatory for the expansion of going from 725,000 hotspots to 7 million hotspots as we really move forward in this process. So,
okay, Michael. Now, I just got a tweet over the chat, right? And the tweet said, need to know how to unrelay my hotspot. Can I do it myself if I have instructions? So yeah. do you want to,
so here's the bottom line. I mean, it's, just about the middle of April. We've got just between 2 and 3 weeks or so if everything goes according to plan. And I think, they've already moved it up a little bit, but I think that they've got it all kind of debugged and everything. But the bottom line is in 2-3 weeks, even of a month from now, that issue goes away. So you don't need to stress over it because it really doesn't have a huge impact. I mean, I think worst case scenario is maybe like 5% of your monthly helium earnings could be impacted by that, but only impacted by that if the hotspots that your unit relays information to get the data that normally you would send to the internet through that hotspot, if those don't have a good internet connection, that's when you have an issue. But probably the majority of the people that are relayed don't even notice a difference whether it's relayed or not.
Okay, so Victor, I won't call you out by name. And so I hope that you just heard Michael talk about, don't worry about unrelaying your hotspot. It's all going to go away, and we don't need to think about portforward.com. We don't need to have instructions how to dig into our router and do all kinds of things and do surgery on our router. Those things are all going away. It'll be one of those parts of this that we'll laugh about one of these days, that, hey, remember when we talked about doing all, and that's because Helium is still going through the jungle phase, right? They started in 2013. It took them 6 years to get to just deploying their first hotspots. In the fourth quarter of 2019 is when they did that. And we discovered them, Michael discovered them in the fourth quarter of 2020. And that's when we started looking at them. They had about 7,000 hotspots that were out there. Now, what do they got? Over 700,000 hotspots, but that's just a drop in the bucket. We saw back then something that we knew was going to happen with or without our involvement, and that was this peer-to-peer wireless network. This global wireless network was going to get built with or without our involvement, right? So we looked at the model that Helium was using, and we said, you know what, we can create a better mousetrap. And so we went to working on creating that better mousetrap. And, one thing happened, another thing happened, and some more people came to the table. IHub.global was actually created. And in April of 2021, we pre-launched it. And in November of 2021, we finally got up the courage to say that we were done. We're far from done, right? Little did we know. So we're still, on our journey. We've got 210,000 hotspots that are on purchase orders. We're getting them now almost, they're coming all the time, right? Even with the COVID, with the chip shortages, but we've got several different manufacturers. And what I've asked the guys to do, and hopefully they'll do it before very long, is to give us, since we've got 13 different manufacturers now, to give us, kind of a detailed training on each one of the hotspots that we have in our arsenal. So, depending upon what one you wind up with or get, you'll have a training site to go to. But having said all of that, we're in the process of opening Canada. We're in the process of opening the UK and the EU. And as soon as we get those cats in the bag, then we'll worry about, opening some more countries. It's a big bad world out there, and there's lots of countries to go after. And we're going to need to have hotspots everywhere, right? If you're just joining us for the very first time on one of these Thursday night calls, we've got a lot of work to do, right? And that's why we do these calls. We do a Monday night business opportunity presentation. We do a Tuesday getting started training information. Wednesday, we've been talking about hotspots, deployment, installation, and antennas primarily. On Wednesday night, we had 185 people that were on that Zoom with us. So here we are on Thursday night. This is typically the night that's reserved for Eric Z and our CEO and a few other people to kind of, take over and replace Michael and I and give us a break. However, Rick's got bronchitis, and Eric is has burnt the candle at both ends until they've met in the middle, and he's collapsed. So he's so you know, in the staff meeting this morning that we have at 12 noon every day, it was a very short one, and I said, well, it looks like Michael, you know, gear it up. We've got
we got a punt tonight.
we've got a punt. We've got to give you some great information. So we've done that, and I really have to say it's not we. It's really Michael, right? Michael's responsible for doing so much of this, so Michael, let's, you know, one of the things that everybody, and you know, it's always going to be a little bit confusing, but once you kind of wrap your brain around what it is we're going to go over in the next little bit about the version 1 hotspots and how that compensation model works, the version 2 hotspots and how that compensation model works and how they all integrate in together, and then we're definitely going to give you a plan, right? We're going to give you a plan on how to create 1,000 helium between now and prior to the redenomination. And it's going to be like Mardi Gras, right? Redenomination, I mean, we could make it a Mardi Gras because that's when Helium is going to take their Helium token and split it 1,000 to 1. Now, you won't wind up with as much money as Elon Musk, but maybe almost as much. So, and how about that Elon Musk? You know, he just whips out a 40th here. I'll just take that 43 billion out of my left pocket and you know, see if I can buy Twitter. So he could buy a country. Anyway, so and you know, we were going to go over the boomerang tonight in IHub travel, and that's not going to happen. We were going to go over the you know, the guest passes, and that's not going to happen. But the good news is that it will happen. It's in the process. So, Michael, where do you want to start, buddy?
All right. Well, let me get ahead and talk about these versions, and I'm going to give a little bit of background, even what does this mean, versions of hotspots, right?
Yeah, so up at the top and go to view options, guys, in case Michael's screen looks very large. Go to view options, go to zoom ratio, that drop down menu, and put it at fit to window, and then it'll collapse and come down to your size.
Okay, so just a little bit of history. As we started in the beginning of iHub, our model was people purchasing hotspots. We call those the V1 units, and that evolved into what we call our VIP program. And so the version 1 purchased hotspots, which include the V1 IP program, have a different compensation structure somewhat than what our deployed units are that everybody's starting to receive right now. Now, in Canada, we're starting there with the V1 units. In Europe, we're starting there with the V1 units. So we want people to understand it. For a while there, we were thinking that it was going to be the deployed, the least, and the deposit units everywhere in the world, but it's more challenging getting all those legal contracts set up in each individual country, so it takes longer. So that's why we're starting with the VIP in Canada and Europe. And so we want people to have a little bit of a sense of that and see where the differences are and where the similarities are in our structure. So in this VIP version, where people got the units, they got to keep 50% of whatever the units created. Now, I use this example that over some period of time, you generate 100 helium tokens, because 100%, 100 helium tokens, it's easy. So 50% of 100 is 50 tokens that you would earn if your unit generated 100 helium tokens over whatever period of time. Your referrer, the person that introduced you, gets 10% of those 100 tokens. And then we got the bronze, silver, gold codes that are 5% each. And then we use 5% to cover the matching bonus portion of the plan. And then the final 20% is what iHub has to run the company with in that program. And that, again, was how we got started. And it's the units that are going to be available right now in Canada and shortly in Europe. Now, what everybody's receiving now are the lease and deposit versions that we call the V2 units that are out there. And you can see they're very similar in the way the codes are, the five bronze, silver, and gold, and 5% matching bonus. There's a little bit more that the company goes to because of our need to put together the whole creative financing in order to get the purchase orders to be able to provide units. I mean, that was the big revelation that we had starting in late spring of 2021, that we're not going to be able to get hotspots whenever we want to just by ordering them. We're going to have to deal directly at the manufacturer level and put together massive amounts of creative capital so that we got units that will be coming 6 to 8 months from now. And that's kind of where we are now, is the 6 to 8 months on those purchase orders. And they don't come all at once. They come spread out over a period of time. But to do that, we needed to bring in more investors. So that's why the 20% went to 35% and the 50% went to 25%. That leaves an extra 10% that we moved over into the referral bonus. But you can see this portion here, the 555, is really the most important part of our affiliate program. The 20% is only on your personals. Those codes are where you're going to be able to get that 5, 10, 15% that Chuck's referred to when he says, I'd rather have 5, 10, 15% of an unlimited number of hotspots than to only be able to get 100% of our own. So that's kind of where we started. Rather than 100%, how about 50 and being able to get 5, 10, 15% on an unlimited? Now we've got it where it's 25 and 20 on the referral. So that's kind of where things are right now. Both of these plans are getting paid out based on which hotspot somebody has. So you don't have to worry whether they got one or the other. We handle it in being able to do it. But I just wanted everybody to have a visualization that the plans are very, very similar, some slight variations in what you can do, but it all fits together and you don't have to worry about it. It's kind of like being relayed. You don't really have to worry about it. It all gets taken care of in the software. So Chuck, do you have anything you want to point out or ask about that?
Yeah, Michael, so you might want to mention that in the version 2, everyone that gets a unit is actually hosting, right?
That's right.
You're actually hosting the unit for iHub Global.
That's right. That's why we call the version 1 a purchased unit and version 2 are hosted units. Right. And with some of our VIPs that have the ability of taking their unit and having somebody host it, there's a little uncertainty when you say hosting what they're referring to. But the bottom line is that's right. The units that are deployed units are technically owned by iHub. That's all part of the creative investment that we needed to put together to be able to have the ability to have hotspots.
Okay, that's really all, and I, this is a great visualization so that you can see that the only real difference is, there's no difference obviously in the coded bonus. All of those, everything remains the same. And actually what we did in the version 2 is we upped everybody who is referring other people to host a unit. Now here's what actually happens. The first 5 people, the first person, you actually get 10%, if you want to think about it. And then after you get to 5, it jumps from 10% to 20%. That's why we use 20% as the number that Michael's got in here, right? As the referral bonus, because you're gonna get 5. And and it goes backwards, retroactive, right? And so you get paid 20% on all 5 of those. And then moving forward, it's a much better deal, because then you're getting 20 plus 5, 20 plus 5 and 5, 20 plus 5, 5 and 5, right? So that's where we get to those numbers. So 20 plus your bronze code, your silver code, and your gold code. And that's why we say it's so important to get to gold, so that you pick up all the money, right? And so that's it on my side, Michael. So let's move on.
Great. So as you know, Chuck's been talking about how great it would be to set your sights on having 1,000 helium tokens by the time the redenomination comes sometime in August. Okay. And so we want to give people an understanding, and anywhere in life, it's kind of like having a plan. And when you're in business, having a business plan really helps kind of map out what you want to do to arrive at your goal. And like in most cases, it's if you know what your goal is, then you can kind of reverse engineer your plan at the steps that are needed to be able to arrive in that particular goal that you're trying to put together. So we want to just talk a little bit about a strategy to accumulate 1,000 HNT. Now, this isn't the only strategy. There's probably a million different ways that you can arrive at that, but we just want to give you kind of a sense about it. The reality is, in this type of affiliate marketing, you never know exactly how it's going to unfold. Somebody's going to surprise you where they're going to go and bring in a massive amount of activity, and somebody that you think may bring in a massive amount of activity, they may end up bringing in, they may disappoint you in not bringing in that activity. So let's go over this, and I'm going to go through it kind of methodically so that everybody gets an understanding, with the caveat that this is one of many ways to do it, but I think it's pretty reasonable. Just a quick disclaimer, this is an example. There's no guarantees on, how this works, because we don't know 100% what any one hotspot's going to do. If somebody is in an area where there's no other hotspots, or there's too many hotspots, or they're completely blocked in and there's no line of sight, there's certain things that are going to be based on the realities on the ground. So let's go through this presentation, and you've seen this a lot. We use this a lot in our presentations, and this is really what Chuck was referring to. When he talks about getting 5, 10, 15% of an unlimited number of people. So in our program, you've got the ability to set up 4 individual teams as part of your overall team. It begins with your first 5 people that you personally enroll. They get a hotspot, and then you start on your next 10, and then everybody thereafter is part of that gold team that Chuck is saying you want to get to that gold team as soon as possible. So you got your first 5 pro team people. The first 5 people you refer, where this example is based on each one of these hotspots earning 5 HNT. Okay, so you got 5 people that each have a hotspot, each earning 5 HNT. That's 25 HNT. Your portion is 20% of that as the referrer. So that gives you 5 HNT for that 1 30-day period. Now, after you get those 5 in place, as you continue to enroll people, now you're starting to build your bronze team. You got 10 people that make up your personally enrolled people in your bronze team. So now you're talking about 50 HNT from their 5 from each hotspot. There are 10 hotspots that each earn 5, 25% because it includes that 5% bronze code. Now you're getting 12 and a half HNT from that group. You continue on with your next 10 people. And now you've got 30% because you got 2 of those 5% codes on top of that 20% referral that we showed in the pie chart. So on this group, you get 15. And then we're going to assume that so far you only got 10 on your gold team just to keep this consistent to end up with a total of 35 people. So you got 10 people times 5, that's 50 at 35%, 17 and a half. And that gives you your grand total of 50 HNT that you've earned for that 1 30-day period, okay, in this example, okay? It's a reasonable consideration. Again, there's going to be some fluctuation on what an individual unit earns and that sort of thing. And but that's 50. This is based on your personally enrolled people. So this example, you personally enrolled 35 people that have a hotspot to do that. Now, 50 HNT right now is somewhere around 11 or 1,200 US dollars. We definitely encourage people to hold on to as much of that HNT as possible so they don't experience what Chuck experienced back in the early days when he was involved in Bitcoin and thought he had, won the lottery when he sold thousands of Bitcoin when it spiked at $12.
I think that's called the big spike.
And then forgot about it until 2017, when all of a sudden the news is talking about Bitcoin hitting $10,000, and it's like, what? So yeah,
you want to grab the news, right?
But you want to hold on to as much of it as you can. But this is the part of what you personally do, but it's only the beginning, because now those people that you put into motion have the ability to start developing their own teams. Is everybody going to do it? Not necessarily. So this example is based on what we just saw. You've got 10 people on your bronze team. You've got 10 people that you've enrolled on your silver team, and you got 10 people that you've enrolled on your gold team. So let's assume that 5 of those people on your bronze team actually decide to engage. The other 5 are just happy to get whatever helium their units are generating. And if those 5 people enroll 5 people themselves, which effectively would be their pro team, you would have 25 people that those 5 people have put into motion. And we call those indirect people because you didn't personally enroll them. The 5 people, the 10 people, the 5 people in your bronze team enrolled them. Now, if those 5 people are generating, I meant to anyway, I didn't get that breakdown. So those 5 people have 25, okay, each at 5% of 5 helium, that would be 6.25 helium. Now, the next step is if these 25 people were to go ahead and enroll. So I'm trying to make it, very conservative. You started with 10, the next people do 5, the next 2 people do 3. So these 25 people each get 3. You would have 75 people on this third iteration, and that would generate 18.75. And so that's going to give you a total that you're getting from this bronze component, these indirect people, of 25 helium tokens. Now, the same thing starts to happen on your silver team. You've got 5 people out of the 10 that decide to go ahead and enroll 5 people. So you would have 25 people, 5%. You would have 10% of those 5 HNT. So you got 12 and a half HNT that's there. And then out of those 25 people, if 3 of them decide to engage, if 25 of those people each enroll 3, that would be 75 people. And that would give you another 50 helium. Again, it's never going to be exactly like this. It's going to be all over the place. You'll have a couple people that enroll 50, 100 people. You'll have some that do nothing. And that's going to be at every level along the lines. But I just want to give you a sense of how this works. Now, on the gold situation, on the gold team, it's the same thing. Let's say half of them engage. They go ahead and enroll 5 people. So now they got 25 people, 15% of that. And then if those 25 enroll 3, that would be 75. and now you got 75. So that basically gives you a breakdown where from the previous screen of the people you personally enrolled, you're getting 50 a month from those frontline people that we talked about in the previous screen. Now, from the 25 indirect people on your bronze team, you're getting that additional 25. On the 50 of indirect people on your silver team, you're getting 50. And on the people on your gold team, those indirects, you're picking up another 75. That's going to give you a total of 200 Helium tokens from all of that together in a monthly period. And if you do that for 5 months, voila, that gives you 1,000 Helium tokens. Now, let's talk about the number of people involved to do that. We talked about 35 people that got you that 50 people front line. Here, so you got your 35 front line. You got now 100 people on your bronze team indirectly, 100 people on your silver team indirectly, 100 people on your gold team indirectly. That's a total of 350 affiliates. Now, I want to put this in perspective because 1,000 tokens that you get over a 5-month period, that has pretty interesting possibilities down the road. But all that is coming from 350 people. Now, if you're new to this sort of thing, you may think, well, that's a lot of people. But people that have been around for a while in home-based businesses, like Chuck and I, know that to get the kind of numbers that we're talking about being able to enjoy from this takes thousands, in many cases, tens of thousands of people to get anywhere close to that. And people have to constantly be inputting more dollars on a monthly basis to be able to maintain that. So you end up with like a bucket of people coming in, putting in dollars, and you got a hole in the bucket because people get tired of putting money in on a monthly basis where they're not earning what they expect, because the idea of having to come up with thousands is a little daunting. So you're constantly having to fill the bucket. What we saw in this program that was so exciting to us is that we knew it was a one-time outlay where people got their hotspots, and then it was generating the revenues on an ongoing basis without having to put in additional money. There was no hole in the bucket in this case. And so this really gives a good understanding of how that happens. Unless Chuck was saying, is everybody going to get these 350 affiliates over 5 months? Some will. Some won't, but I guarantee there'll be some that get a whole lot more than 350, and the numbers are going to get a lot more interesting. So, I'll kind of bring you in on this, Chuck. Is there any questions or anything, or you want to point out about this?
Well, guys, and you have to remember that these teams, your bronze, your silver, and your gold teams, are all independent of one another, right? They're all going to continue to run on their own track with or without your involvement. I mean, you're going to have some involvement, just like I do and just like Michael does on his team. But my bronze team is continuing to grow, and grow and grow and grow. And my silver team is continuing to grow and grow and grow. And my gold team is continuing to grow and grow and grow. Right. So,
yeah, so that's an important thing. I mean, we're talking about the people you personally enroll, bringing in people, and they bring in people. That's like 2 tiers of that happening, but there's no limit to that. It literally goes on forever, because these people, these 75 people can bring in people who can bring in people who can bring in people, and you're going to be getting a significant portion of that. So these indirect numbers, these 300 and what is it? 300 people.
Right.
Well, actually, that should be 335, not 350. That's a typo.
Right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it should be 335. So that 35, if you stop at 35, but you probably won't, you're gonna accidentally bump into somebody that's going to ask you what you're doing, and they're going to say, well, tell me more about that. So that 35 is going to grow, and those are all going to be your gold affiliates that come in from that part. And those 300 people are not going to necessarily stop. And so those 300 could potentially go to much bigger numbers, and the numbers are going to grow accordingly in terms of the helium that you're going to be participating in.
And Michael, you just have to be prepared. Like, you just don't know. I mean, every day that I'm out, I run into somebody. Every day that I'm out, whether it's a doctor's appointment, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or I'm doing it's just anything, right? I've got on a t-shirt, I've got on another shirt that's got the logo up there. Inevitably, somebody says, "What's that?" Right? And now I just ordered a new license plate for my car, which says crypto. So that's going to, there's once a month, there's a called Cars and Coffee. It's a big gathering of all the gearheads and all the enthusiasts, right? Car enthusiasts. And so I'm going to be going to my first one, and hopefully I'll have my license plate. And everybody just, walks around and looks at everybody else's car and talks to everybody. And, it's just a way of opening up conversations. And, guys, it's, you just got to make, I think, obviously the first 5 will be the most difficult. The next 10 will be the next most difficult. And, when you start seeing some success, you start going through those first 5, you get the next 10, and then you get your silver team going. It's pretty soon you become bulletproof, right? I mean, everybody is now, it's gloves off, right? So you're recruiting everybody, and we've got such a great story, right? No money needs to be spent, and I tell people all the time, the best way to look at IHub Global is from the inside out. Go to my site, get registered for free, and I'll get a notification that you've done that. And when I see that, I'll get back to you, and you and I will walk through some things together so that back office is not so confusing and overwhelming to people. I take them to just the stuff that I want them to look at right now. I don't go into the weeds with all of them. Well, here's all of this stuff, and here's where you got to buy some antennas, and here's where, we save that for later. But, Michael, you're exactly right. The different ways of getting to that 1,000 helium, it's countless. It's unlimited ways, because like you said, some people will this will be what they've been looking for their entire life, and they'll just go for it, right? And they'll just you'll have to duck and get out of the way, because they'll just go get it. And other people, but I've used this phrase forever, and that is, you have to work with the willing. Don't try to drag people along, the finish line, with you, right? You're a busy person. You've got a lot of things to do. The first thing you got to do is find 35 people, because I asked Michael, I said, step 1, find 35 people. Step 2, right? Help those 35 do what you just did. I mean, that's as easy as it really is. And if you can find 35 people that will find 35 people, it's game over, right? It's game over, right? So just know that you're batting 1,000% if you find 35 and they go find 35. The likelihood is that you're going to have to find a lot more than 35 in order to have some of those engaged, because again, everybody's busy, right? Everybody's and everybody wants instant gratification, unfortunately. And this is not an instant gratification business. This is a business that's going to take some time, some effort before. Now you're going to make a little bit of money, right? And if the price of helium goes up, it's going to certainly help our business a lot. Michael and I started, I think Helium was at $2, right? Or something. And I remember when it went to $4, I go, yay, hey, we just got a raise, right? And then all of a sudden it went to 10. Then it went to 12 and so on and so on and so on. But, you know, all of these things that we talked about as far as a redenomination are definitely going to happen, already voted on. It's done. I mean, it's not done. It's not done until it gets done, but it's going to get done.
Hey, Chuck, there's a couple of questions that if I could go back to looking at the V1, V2 units and maybe give a little bit of clarity for that, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
So let me go back to this slide here. Oops, let's just go, sorry. All right, so these are the V1 units. And the question is, and this is somebody from Canada, they're trying to get a handle on, you know, the way we talk about it being a 50% unit and a 10% to the host. You know, what does that mean? And the way it was with the VIP units, when we brought that program out in the US, we had people that were getting a number of units initially because we wanted a core group of people that had a bunch of units. They were the ones that really became experts in learning how to get these installed, how to maximize the Helium, and basically, you know, train other people in the process. And so somebody that would buy 10, 20 units, 50 units, or even some in the earlier days, they would use one unit for themselves, and then they would find people to host some of their other units. And the way it works in that case is this 10% referral fee. When you have multiple people hosting your units, instead of it going to your referral, because it's a lot of work to get people set up to do the host, that 10% would go to the host. Okay. What we're doing in Canada is we're allowing people to buy single units if they want to. So there's really no sense for them hosting their own unit, right? You don't host your own unit. So that 10% host number that was in the discussion about what the VIP units are really isn't a play, it doesn't come into play when you just get one unit. But if you bought 5 units and you use one for yourself, your referrer will get the 10% on your unit, and those 4 that you have other people hosting, that 10% on them, on those units, will go to those people. You said 50% on all of them, but your referrer will get the 10% on your own unit. That was the way that came about historically.
Yeah, so the version 1 units also, you have the ability in your back office to increase the amount of commissions that are paid to the host. You know, so when I first put out my first hotspots, you know, and I still do it today. I mean, I get 50%. I split it with my host. Right? I get 25 to the host, 25 to me. And even though I get more than that because I pick up the bronze code, the silver code, the gold code, right? So I'm picking up another 15% on top of the 25. So I'm really making 40. So it's a great deal for the host. And you know what I've told a lot of my hosts is, hey, keep it plugged in. After I get my money back, right? After I'm back whole again, I'll gift that thing to you. I'll give it to you. They go, really? You know, now they've got some incentive to make sure that that thing stays plugged in and it continues to mine. And so, you know, my CPA gave me that that little he said, you know, he said you can write off all those hotspots that you give away. And I go, oh, that's a good idea. You know, so I made my money back. I get 1099 on the money, right? And then I gift them out, and rather than selling them, and I write that off. I don't want to sell them to my host, right? Because they've already done their job, if you will. So
But that's true. You have the ability in the back office to give up a portion of your 50% as much as you want to the host. You can
Right.
control that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm glad. I mean, there were a lot of comments in the chat about, thanks for this training. I really understand it now. This made a lot more sense, and so on and so on and so on. So that's great. I appreciate all those comments, and that's what we try to do. Our job is to try to take something that is confusing and try to make it as simple as possible. I use that analogy all the time, the difference between, teachers like us and professors. Professors take something that's relatively simple and make it confusing so that you have to continue to take that course, for 4 years to try to figure it out. We try to get you guys up to speed in 4 weeks, or less. So your marching orders, if you will, is just if you haven't started prospecting yet, if you haven't started reaching out, and I know how sometimes, well, I know, I mean, I've never been timid, so I can only imagine, that I've always been very outgoing, right? But you've got something that if you just say, and what I encourage people to do, and we've done this forever, is go to people that you perceive as being more successful than yourself. And why I say that, it's called recruiting up, right? And you go and you do it like this. Hey, I looked at something. Have you ever heard of a company called Helium? Michael, does that sound familiar? And
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I
and
think I remember saying that to you a long time ago.
and the person will undoubtedly say, no, I'm not. You mean the gas, and make some, smart comment, and then and say, well, it's having to do with we're doing some things. You can kind of come up with any kind of story, but I saw something that I'd like you to take a look at because I would value your opinion. I value your opinion as to what you might think. I'm thinking about doing something with this company, and I would appreciate it if you would look at it and give me your opinion. The opinion part is the big one, right? Everybody wants to give you their opinion. And so if you just say, hey, I'm looking at something, it looks kind of interesting, but I'm a novice, and you're a XYZ, right? Whatever you are, and you're a stockbroker, or you're a banker, or you're this, and I'd really appreciate it if you take a look at this for me and see what you think about it, and give me, just be honest with me and just give me your opinion, because I'll tell you what, if they take a look, they're going to get hooked, right? I mean, they're going to get hooked. I wore a shirt just like this to one of my doctor's offices, and I was sitting there, and now he didn't say anything in front of his staff, but he texted me later, right? He texted me later, and he says, hey, he said, you're a pretty sharp entrepreneur. He said, why don't you tell me what's going on? And I said, Doc, I'd be happy to, and you just never know where those people might come from. So you just have to stay out there and be in the process of, talking to people, and showing them things. And, we got a lot. And the only thing I show people is my link, my affiliate link, right? I go, hey, go in here and watch the movies. And oh, by the way, just sign up for free. And after you sign up for free, I'll give you a tour of the whole back office. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't have to spend any money? No, you have to spend a dime. Great. Okay, I'll do that. So That's what I do all the time. Michael, hey, buddy, I appreciate you. Any other questions that you want to?
Well,
What's
one
on
person.
the business card that I give out? It's the business card is in the back office. It's in so you can log in and you can go to the back office where all the apparel is and everything, and that's the business card that I use. So go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
One person is asking, about seeing what's going on with their unit, their hotspot, and we can do it within our back office. We can use the explorer.helium.com, the Helium Explorer, to take a look at it. Like, for instance, if you look at this unit here, right, it tells us that it's synced. It's already synced up. If it was offline, it would say offline. And, and you could click on it on a 24-hour period, see what's going on, what it's generating in a particular period over 24/7, 14 days, 30 days. You can see that there's witnesses that it's creating. The witnesses you see with these yellow lines with gold dots and things of that nature. So that gives you one idea of how to see what's going on.
So is that your wolf?
Yeah, that's the wolf.
That's your wolf. Okay, so
Yeah.
And so look at those lines that Michael's connecting with his 8 dBi antenna. Can you make that a little larger so they can see what I'm looking at over here? No, this part. No, you can't make it larger, can you? No. So it says it's a Cal chip connected device. It says it's an 8 dBi antenna, and he has it 5 meters above ground level, about 15 feet. So that again, that's giving him that coverage, and he's reaching. If you know the Phoenix area, he's reaching a long ways away.
Yeah, very long ways away. And I've seen some going a lot further. I only have 67 witnesses right now because I had unplugged my internet connection yesterday just to reboot my modem. And whenever you do that, it kind of starts up again with 0 witnesses and starts adding to it again. So you can see how, it's a little bit lower in the last 24 hours than the previous days as it's starting to catch back up again. But yeah, so that's a rack unit. Those were the first units we started working with.
Yeah, I still have the original, and it's never stopped, right? I mean the one with the little black circle in it, right? So
yeah, now I want to just show real quick an alternative. If I can, let's see, let me get back to my dashboard and share that. So that's using the Helium app to do that. Okay. You could also go into your back office. And
okay, Doug, you must have missed the first part of the meeting here. How to fix relaying. Do I submit a ticket to support? No, you just do nothing. You do nothing. It's all going to go away, here very shortly. And so don't do anything. Just forget about that it's being relayed and go and recruit some people, right?
That's right.
And,
that's right.
And start building your team.
So another way to look at what's going on in the unit is you go into your hotspot manager, view hotspots. And if I go down to that same unit and click on it, then I'm going to get a fair amount of data of what's going on here. Similar to what we saw there is actually a lot more information here than we have on the Helium hotspot. And I don't know that it's been implemented yet in the process, but we're also going to have the ability to ping the unit so that we know whether it's actually online and syncing or whether it's offline, because several times you may see it on the Helium app where it shows offline, but it's really online syncing. But because the way the blockchain is, it doesn't necessarily show that. Again, all those weird variations, is going to completely go away at the same time that relay problem goes away in early May.
So awesome. Hey, guys, it's 10 p.m. I'm glad we had an opportunity to hang out with you guys tonight, and we'll have to do it. We'll have to do it again real soon, which will be Monday night. So you can all say good night. Michael, thank you very much for doing what you do. And so with that, guys, good night, everybody.
Happy
Have
Easter.
a
Thanks a
great
lot.
Easter. Have a great
Night.
Easter. Spend a little bit of time
Good
with
night,
your
everybody.
family,
Good
and
night.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
the great
we'll
information.
see everybody on
night,
Monday.
all.
See you guys Monday.
Yep.
See you
weekend.
Monday. Good
A lot of
night.
good info tonight.
Have a
Good
great
night.
Easter.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Yes, see
Good
you
night.
Monday.
Bye-bye.
Happy Easter.
Thank you so much, guys. Great meeting.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah, thanks for the info.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Don't miss them if I can help it.
Right. Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks. Hey, Michael, I'll go. I'll see you tomorrow. We've got a few calls that I know of, so I'll see your smiling face again. So with that, good night, everybody.
I hope these guys recoup.
Happy Easter.
Indeed.
Yeah, hope they
Yep.
feel better.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. See you guys.